About 4 years ago, I began to have hearing loss in my left ear. And I said, you know, I really want to, I was going through so much. And I chose to do vision first because I wanted to be able to have a testimony. And God really, truly blessed me. Um, 4 years ago, I began to have the hearing loss. We didn't know what it was. I'm just going to tell y'all briefly. We are going to do another charity fashion show, and it's going to be for the hearing impaired and the deaf ear. But what happened was, about 4 years ago, I started losing my hearing, and I didn't know what happened. And so we started to go to different doctors. Some doctors said, you know, you have a brain tumor. We're not sure what's wrong. Then we had other doctors that said, well, you know what, you bust out your eardrums, and it's nothing that we can do about it. Sorry, Say, I love you. And you know, we had some doctors that said, you bust out your eardrums, there's nothing that we can do about that, you know, go on. So it started to get worse, especially after my pregnancy. It was getting worse and worse and worse. So I went to about 5 doctors. Then I saw a doctor, and you know, was giving me all these herbs, and it was just a long process, but I stayed prayed up the entire time. And God gave me a promise, and he said, you know, you are going to be healed. About 2 years ago, it was getting so bad that I started to take sign language. So I'm like, oh my God, what is going on? So but I still prayed and prayed and prayed. And you know, it was on my heart to do a charity fashion show. And during that time, that I chose to do vision first, because God said, I'm going to give you a testimony that you're going to be able to share with people. And then at that particular time, you could do a charity fashion show for the hearing impaired. So about when I chose the vision and I went with that, and I still trusted God, at this particular time, I still didn't know what was going on. It was just getting worse and worse and worse. I started wearing an amplifier in my ear. I had to always wear my hair down. It's like, I don't know what's going on, but I'm still grinding. Like, okay, I can't hear, but I'm still grinding. I had to, like, again, do the sign language thing, started to kind of like read people's lips all the time. It was a lot on me. I just prayed that, you know, I need to hear my daughter. You know, I want to make sure I can hear her. She's loud enough. That's great. So as time went on, about in January of this year, I met with somebody, and she referred me to a doctor that was a specialist. So I went to an audiologist, and they said, well, you know what? You have something called audiorosis. I'm like, what in the world is that? And they said it's hereditary. I said, well, what do you mean? So of course I'm Googling it, I'm going crazy. And basically it's common in women. They said it's, you know, it could have been ancestors a long time ago. And basically what it is you have your eardrum, and then you have a bone that's right beside your eardrum that bounces off the sound. And that bone something was wrong with that bone. So they told me I would have to have surgery. And so of course I'm now going crazy. What do you mean I have to have surgery? So I wanted to do a second opinion. So I went to another doctor, and that same doctor, a different doctor, said the same exact thing that the first doctor said. So I said, well, you know what? I'm going to consider it. I'm going into prayer, everything. And the whole time God was like, you're going to be healed by your fashion show. You're going to be healed by your fashion show. So I'm going on. So the first day that I had was June 7th, was my surgery date. So I went in, and the doctor said, you know what? I got to run more tests. I got to do an MRI. We have to push you back. You won't be healed, or you won't be getting your surgery till June the 29th. I said, that can't be right, because God told me that I'll be healed by my fashion show. Make a long story short, last week, or a week and a half ago, I got a call, and they said, well, you know what? We pushing you up to Wednesday, which was last Wednesday, which was the day before I got the Women of the Year award. I didn't even know if I was going to be able to show up. I didn't know what was going on. So I went, I had my surgery done last Wednesday, okay? Everything that's going on with this fashion show is so heavy, it's so much, but I still trusted God. And I went and I got the surgery done last Wednesday. That Thursday, I still got crying. We gotta keep going. I tried to take off, you know, really mentally, but it just took me somewhere else, you know, just trusting God and believing God. You know, the doctor said the surgery went great, but I had to keep my ear bandaged up for a whole week. So of course I'm like, oh my God. So I had to keep changing these bandages and changing these bandages out of my head, out of my ear, and it just amazes me how when God gives you a promise, and God give you a testimony, I have to share it. So I know we're here for the visually impaired right now, But I was just feeling like that I was about to be losing my hearing altogether. So once I got the surgery done, I had to wear bandage up. So what happened was, my follow-up was yesterday. And when I went to the doctor yesterday to get my follow-up, every time I would change the bandages, I kept saying, I still can't hear anything. I still can't hear anything in my left ear. So when I went to the doctors, they did some cleaning, and what they did was they pulled this gauze out of my ear. And as they was pulling the gauze out, I just began to hear the sound very clearly. And I was like, I didn't know that was in my ear. So what they said was, when I had surgery done, they put the gauze all the way up there in my ear because it was part of the healing process, but I had no clue. But God said you're going to be healed by this fashion show. On yesterday, it's when they actually took everything out of my ear, took the bandages off and everything, and guess what? I can hear today. And this was just yesterday. So walking out that doctor's office, I just cried for like an hour. I just couldn't even get myself together because God is so good. And I have to just share my testimony today because it took me through a lot. I'm talking 4 years now. A lot of, where's Gerald? Gerald. 2 years ago, when it started getting really bad, come over here. Come all the way out. This is why you gotta have good, spiritual, rounded friends. So a couple years ago, when I started taking sign language, and I was over at Gerald's house, she said, girl, we're gonna get this all out, and we're gonna pray on your ear, and you're gonna be healed. And this was 2 years ago. And for her to just share that time with me, also Jay and his wife, they on the camera. I was over their house one day, and they looked, you're gonna be healed, we're gonna pray for you. And it really stood out to me a lot. And this was 2 years ago, and I still was like trusting, like, okay, this is gonna happen. But it wasn't until when God was saying, I need, charity event, give it back, and actually getting that close to, I felt like I was going to die. So it's like, it was so much, and just to have this friend. And also, Boo, where you at, Boo? Malika? Like Malika, and there's some more people too. Malika was my ears, and what I mean by that is, if we were going out, if we had to do anything, she would hear for me. So if it was something that I didn't hear, she would answer for me. She would change it in the way that I would hear. She would speak loud enough so I could hear. And and it was great just to have a friend like that beside me the whole process. And this has been a real struggle. So I just wanted to say that because, it's a testimony that's in me. And I really had to share it. I know that I went through what I went through for a reason. But I just wanted to say tonight, I definitely had to thank these people publicly. I don't know, God is a healer, so I don't know what you might be going through in your physical body, in your mind, or anything, but I'm a living testimony that last week I, got put with anesthesia and everything. I didn't know what was gonna happen, but I trust God. But back then, when they said we gotta move your appointment to the 29th, I said, well, y'all mustn't hear from God yet, because God told me that by the 25th, I was gonna be healed. So, and then when it just changed, everything happened so rapidly. It was just a lot of stress, a lot of things going on with this entire fashion show. But I just wanted to share my testimony today and let y'all know that I love God. He's everything, and He's very real. He's very real, and He's very real in my life. And if you talk to Him, if you pray to Him, if you have great friends that you can touch and agree with, and people that's gonna put that oil on you and really say, you know what, we're gonna pray, we're gonna touch and agree, you will be healed. And even though, Jay and his wife, they on the camera, I'm their daughter's godmother, we're not in touch as much. But when you have spiritual people and you have a problem, it's just like, for them to lay hands on me too. It was just very important that I just to share this testimony, and I'm excited and I'm overwhelmed all at the same time, but I love God. Like I said yesterday, I just cried and cried. It was just tears of joy. It was tears of joy because it's like, oh my God, I just went through this. I struggled with this for 4 years, whether you knew I did or not, but for 4 years I went through this. So I just feel great. I know that this fashion show is about the visually impaired, but at the same time, I just want y'all to know that God is the healer. I just thank my friends, and I definitely thank my